Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Christi Lukasiak. Thank you for joining me today. If you're not subscribed to my channel, make sure that you hit that subscribe button and turn on your post notifications so you never miss a video. So for today's video, I am actually going to be, instead of ranking the best of a particular category of dance moms, I thought it would be kind of fun to rank the worst. I did this with dances at one point. You guys loved it. If you have missed that video, you can check it out here when this video is over. I thought it would be fun to go back and take a look at the worst group dance costumes of dance moms. Now, I just want to put a little asterisk on this. I think all of the costumes that I selected for this list were dances that were going on while I was still there. While Chloe was there, I was there. Chloe's probably in these dances. I don't think I selected anything from season 5, 6, and the beginning of 7 because honestly, I don't know those dances and I haven't rewatched those episodes yet for Back to the Bar, which if you're not listening to Back to the Bar, that is a podcast that Kelly and I have where we go back and we recap old Dance Moms episodes, but we also give you a lot of behind the scenes tea of what was happening that week. So haven't seen season 5 and 6. So all of the costumes that I am ranking today are costumes that I do believe Chloe was in and I probably still own in a storage unit somewhere. Come here, Luna, you wanna come up and say hello? All right, well, my little New Orleans kitty is back. She now lives here full time too, so you might see her pop in. Okay, so for this list, please keep in mind, I do not have these in any particular order. I don't have them ranked worst or best of the worst to worst of the worst. I just thought it would be good to go through and just talk about them. They're bad. I mean, a lot of these are really bad. Okay, we're gonna start off by talking about what could have been the worst costume in season 1 of Dance Moms. Now, I know you're all thinking that I'm going to say electricity. No. Electricity, at least it was a costume. Where I'm going to start is with Snapshot. You guys, I am pretty sure, do you remember the store Justice? These were Justice bathing suits that we bought off the rack, and then we found some hats in the dollar store, and then someone was like, you know what's a great idea? Let's pull their hair back like in the slickest bun ever and stick these hats on their head so there's no hair at all. And then to make these costumes even worse, let's take one sad lonely rhinestone and put it in the middle of each of these polka dots. I do not know who thought these costumes were giving supermodel, but they were not. Oh my God, I know exactly what these are giving. These are giving like 1980s grandma sitting at the beach with her giant sun hat that doesn't want to get a drop of sun on her face because the swimsuits even look like they could have been like a grandma swimsuit. They were awful, 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 awful. And we're on national television. Like, these kids are dancing on national TV in these costumes. Those are the worst costumes, in my opinion, of season 1, for sure. Up next, let's talk about silver spoons. Now, these costumes aren't the worst. They're really not. They're not terrible. I mean, at least they're a ballet costume that were ordered from a ballet company. But where the problem with the silver spoons costumes lie is the fact that they did not fit anyone properly. Because remember, there was all that switcheroo happening with the costumes. Like, Paige couldn't have the special costume because she wasn't the ballerina, or probably it was just to make Kelly mad that week. So we had to switch the colors. And then whoever had whatever color, like, none of them fit properly. Yeah, they were a mess in the fit. Now the costumes themselves, I think anytime you put the girls like in a little ballet bun with a bow, like it looks pretty. However, if I recall the dance correctly, and I have not rewatched this, I'm pretty sure that they were rolling around on the floor. And last time I visited the ballet, it was the Royal Ballet in London, oh, pardon me, but they were not rolling on the floor. Ballerinas do not roll on the floor, nor do they do chin stands. I mean, that's like a little throwback to Brooke and the Joffrey audition, but that wasn't Brooke who did that. That wasn't a choice that she made. That was choreography that was given to her. So silver spoons definitely gets a place on this list simply based on the fact that they did not fit anyone well. Okay, coming in strong and definitely deserves a place on this list are the group costumes from All Kids Go. Okay, the different parts of their bodies were not attending the same event, because up top they had little fascinators on, like they were going to the Royal Ascot or the Kentucky Derby. But then in the middle we had like a unitard on that was, I don't even know the brand, but it's just like a random unitard with a coral like edging to it. I don't think there was a sequin or a stone on it, which I get, it's supposed to be contemporary, but odd choice. And then the kicker of the kicker were the black socks. Because if you recall, in the first episode of Dance Moms, Reagan got kicked out for wearing socks. Now, I have to admit, I don't know, I can't remember, if they talked about that sock thing in this episode, if like we discussed it, or if we're like, oh no, it's part of the creative thing. Could have been, don't remember. But just looking back at the costumes themselves, these are quite unattractive. I don't know what Abby was going for with these. I really don't. Usually I can like at least get it, but this one I'm left like crickets. Nothing but crickets. I have no idea what the goal was with these. Ugly? If it was ugly, you win. But if it was anything else, I didn't get it. Okay. So now that brings me to another Dance Moms moment. Now we've had this moment a few times. However, I'm going to use Beautiful Day as the example. And that's when some people get lazy and we just throw dancewear on the stage. So this dance was supposed to be a tribute to Broadway Baby, and everyone just decided to wear bright colored dancewear. Now, I don't think that there's anything inherently wrong with the dancewear if it was being used in class, but these are costumes that are supposed to be on stage. And by the way, I mentioned it before, I don't know if you know, this is a show. At this point was a season 2. I think we were like on in other countries. So we're not even a national TV show at this point. We're an international TV show. And our kids are on stage performing every week. They're learning the dances. You know, they're taking time out of their schedules. They're giving up all of the stuff that they do as a kid. Somebody could at least do them a solid to give them a pretty costume, you know? But they are doing a full-on group dance in dancewear. And we did this a few other times as well. But I have to say, the dancewear is actually years better as a costume choice compared to the next dance, and that is the Runaways. Okay, so true story, this dance was performed in New York City. It is a fact that our dance teacher sent a PA to the streets and they were buying pieces of clothing like off of tables on the sidewalk in New York City. Like, you know how they'll sometimes have bag, like folding tables set up and it's near the garment district? I don't even think they went in a store. I think they were buying them from folding tables. They're like, oh, I'll take those red shorts. Oh, I'll take that black whatever. And it's just mishmash pieced together. I get that they're supposed to be on the streets and all of the thing, but it just felt so like not a priority and last minute and thrown together that I have a special hatred in my heart for those costumes, because every time I look at them I get aggravated because I know that there was a budget for costumes and that budget was not spent on those. So I'm like, where is the balance of the money? Who put that in their pocket? Because our kids weren't wearing it on TV. But the Runaways, bad. All right, up next, let's talk about Kinky Boots. Kinky Boots is not all around terrible. It's not. It's a costume. They have the boots on. I mean, I get it. The show's all about boots. They have the wigs on. But where I think Kinky Boots really did someone dirty was Peyton. And it was the hair and the makeup. I mean, it gets its own special category because Peyton is a gorgeous girl. She's a great dancer. And I get that we were supposed to be like portraying drag queens and stuff, but it felt like when she did her reveal that the instructions to the makeup artist were, let's really drag this 14-year-old who, you know, all 14-year-olds are insecure as it is, on national television and make this makeup as hideous as humanly possible. That felt like the directions for this. So I recently rewatched this episode with Kelly for Back to the Bar, and when we saw it, we were like, oh my God. Now, Kelly wasn't there for it. I was. And I remember at the time being like, oh, this is really bad. But watching it back on TV, it plays even worse than what I remember in real life. So I'm sorry, Peyton. That was not, that was not nice to do. Again, like I said, I think Peyton's a beautiful, beautiful girl. And I just thought it was like, I know she's playing a part. I get it. I just felt that it was like, it could have been a little less. And by the way, drag queens usually have the most spectacular makeup ever. So don't try to tell me like, oh, we're making her look like a drag queen. No, I would kill to have a drag queen do my makeup because it is usually gorgeous. This was not giving gorgeous. This was giving like, not that. All right. This list would not be this list without a very controversial costume. And that is the costume from Fantastic. Now, I have to say, the pink feathers, gorgeous. The headpieces, gorgeous. The bras that the girls ended up wearing on TV, which, by the way, I should be like arrested just for saying the bras that the children wore on television. I'm just saying. But the bras that the kids wore on TV actually were not the original costume. If you remember when the kids came in and they were trying the costumes on in the room the one night when Mackenzie said, this wouldn't fit my American Girl doll. They were just little triangles with like an elastic back. They very much looked topless. We as moms were like, nope. Like behind the scenes, we went to Target, we bought the nude bras and we rhinestoned them to death so at least it looked like a top. The problem I have with this costume are the bottoms. Those bottoms were like itsy bitsy teeny weeny silver, very non-existent bikinis. Like terrible. Terrible. So like here up, the fans and all of it, and again, the girls wore bras all the time, you know, but here up, pretty. Bottoms, no. Hard, no. So those get a no for worst costume. Not ugly, worst. All right, moving on to season 7. I really wish that this costume was not on this list because this was the very last costume that our girls wore on TV for Dance Moms. And that was the silver and pink dresses when Cheryl Burke was their choreographer for Survivors. The Survivors, I think, was the name of the dance. These were ill-fitting. They were too long. They were ugly. I don't think they were custom made. I don't think they were custom made. And I think that for the last hurrah of Dance Moms, considering how much like that show had a cult following and how much it did for a lifetime and so many people's careers, I think they really could have sprung and bought the girls like gorgeous custom made costumes. Like, look, we had Cheryl. Somebody should have hired the costume department from Dancing with the Stars. They're all under the same umbrella. Like, we're all under the ABC umbrella. Let somebody make these kids a beautiful costume for the very last time on stage. But no, they had the Survivors and they were really ugly. And I'm pretty sure that I could put that costume right on and wear it as like an ugly Halloween costume. It would fit me because it was ginormous. It was just not giving good. It was giving very ugly and bad. Okay, now I forgot about this costume until intern Matt reminded me of it. And I thought back and I was like, oh my God, these were so ugly. So ugly. These are next level ugly. And that is the 7 Dancers costume. You guys, these were awful. Like so awful, awful. Go ahead, Nels. So awful. They were supposed to be the 7 dwarfs, okay? And the little weird like sock headpiece, I think was supposed to kind of be inspired by they were obviously supposed to be the 7 dwarfs like head thing, but back when Chloe and Paige, I think they were the only 2 in it. Maddie definitely wasn't there yet. I don't think Nia was there yet. They had a dance called Wash That Man where Josh was the Maytag man and the kids were all in washing machines and they had these hats that look like bubbles on their head. Here's a picture. See? They have like little bubble hats on. And I think that somewhere in there, the 7 dancers was supposed to kind of be like reminiscent of those bubble hats, but they clearly missed the mark. They're hideous. They're awful. And then like you had the little weird pants and then the unfortunate t-shirts with like the crooked ironed letters with the shady names by chance. Oh, wasn't Chloe shady? I think she might have been shady with the shady kids' names. You know, it was like the hits just kept on coming at this point, and so these were especially ugly. Let's take a moment to talk about electricity, because I know everyone thinks that electricity should be on this list, but I am actually going to tell you, I did not hate the electricity costumes themselves. If you look at the costume, like the top and the bottom, it was no worse than any of the dancewear that the kids were wearing in the studio every week. Where the problem came in were the thigh highs. I mean, like black thigh highs on like a 9-year-old, problematic. Then you had the gloves, but it was really the hair and the makeup that took it over the top. Not to mention the choreography. But here's a fun behind the scenes fact that I don't think a lot of people know, is the electricity costumes were the exact same costumes as another dance that had made headlines a few months before Dance Moms started airing. And that number was called Single Ladies. And I believe it was done by, I want to say Dance Precisions in California. And it made national news. And there was this whole scandal about whether or not this dance was too provocative or age inappropriate for the age of the girls doing it. And some Dance Moms producers saw that, because in my actual original Dance Moms auditions, they asked me to talk about that. And I was like, well, I mean, they're a little scandalous, but it's no different than what we normally were wearing. And I think at that moment, they're like, ding, 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 ding. We're gonna put that on Dance Moms and we're gonna make it super scandalous over the top. And then that's when the choreography changed. That's when the hair became the hair and the makeup. So the electricity costumes themselves, I don't find to be overly scandalous. I felt that the whole package was scandalous, but that is a little behind the scenes tea about where the idea of those electricity costumes came from. Comment below if you knew that, because I feel like that's a story that I think some people know, but then other people are always shocked to find that out. I mean, there's plenty of ugly costumes. These are like my list of ugly costumes. I'm sure there's others that are gonna pop up, and these are not even taking into consideration some of the solos, duos, trios, which there are some doozies in there. So let me know if you want me to talk about those worst ones. But in my opinion, right now, these were the worst costumes for group dances on the show. And I would love to know what costumes you thought were the ugliest. So drop them in the comments. And I'm also dying to know if you knew like that behind the scenes tea about Single Ladies. Did you know or didn't you? All right, well, join me back here next week, because I'm always good for a little piece of information dropped and a little scoop when you're not expecting it, so you never want to miss a video. Also, if you want to check out the worst dances of Dance Moms, here you go. And don't forget to follow me on Instagram and TikTok, because I'm an influencer now. All right, sending you guys a big kiss. All right, I will see you back here next week. Bye.